Hey, this is Nicholas with the Backyard TARDIS here with another Death Battle reaction. I've actually recorded a number of Death Battles, and for whatever reason, my last one didn't get that much response. I haven't put them up on the channel. I may put them up on the channel. I don't know. I've got some good ones, some ones I really enjoyed. I don't record all of them, so that's something I don't want to get trapped into. Sometimes the YouTube algorithm with these reactors, all of a sudden now you have to react to everyone. But we've got Rick Sanchez from Rick and Morty versus the Doctor from Doctor Who. On the Backyard Church, I'm a huge Doctor Who fan, so I've got to go into this. This is something they've been teasing about possibly doing for a year, maybe 2 years, because I remember they did this as a cast last year, and I think they were even talking about it as a potential matchup the year before. It was definitely when they had the fans, those who were subscribers and stuff, and part of their all of a sudden I can't think of members voting on, and this is one of the battles that I constantly voted for, but it didn't win. But they had slyly said, hey, some of these were ideas we were already going to do, and they said, hey, when you got to the final brackets, like some that you thought should have made it there that didn't, that's why, because we were already going to do these things, so we didn't want to cop out and like make it the one that everybody picked because it was already on the list. I had a little bit of hope that this was going to be one of those, because I noticed that once they had like the initial everybody put your ideas, and it was like the ones that had the most thumbs up or whatever from the community is what got put into the bracket. But this never made it into the bracket, but I thought it seemed like it had a lot. So, kind of interesting to see how that went. I wasn't a big fan of the things. I mean, the Cole McGrath versus Alec Mercer, that was a good one. It was a video game one that was relevant years ago, when Death Battle kind of started. Not as much now, but still was a good one. I like it when they go back to video games. I miss having more video game character Death Battles. But this one, when you're talking about the Doctor, it's such a unique character, and it's such a unique character to put into Death Battle. There are, the memes are abound. Like the Doctor asking, really, it took all of you to defeat an alien invasion? It just takes me one. The Doctor constantly doesn't just defeat world-ending threats, universe-ending threats. That said, the Doctor typically allows himself to get caught, allows himself to, and then he talks his way out. A lot of times he's vulnerable. The enemies have the power; they could just kill him, but he talks himself, and then he brilliantly sabotages something, does something that like thwarts their dastardly plan. But it's one of those things where you had to suspend your disbelief in him, because if all the bad guys just shot him on sight, he'd probably lose. Now, we have seen when the Doctor does go to war. We've seen the War Doctor in his might. We have seen what we saw in Day of the Doctor. He was willing to use the moment, and it was going to wipe everybody out. So he has something like that at his disposal. You also have. There's been a few times when a good man goes to war. That thing, and he says. They tell him the anger of a good man is not something to worry about. They have too many rules. And the Doctor responds, good men don't need rules. You don't want to find out why I have so many. He said, look, I'm angry. I'm properly angry. I don't know what happens now. So there's good moments like that. Matt Smith that does that brilliantly. There's the one with Family of Blood, where the 10th Doctor basically said, I didn't run away and hide because I was scared of you. It was because I was being kind. And then he turns around and like he just defeats them, and he puts them through some of the worst. Like when the Doctor goes dark, he goes dark, and he can be a serious force of destruction when he's pushed to that point. So it is interesting, but that's usually not where he stands. He's usually a pass for the course. That's going to be removed, but I think the Doctor, the way he's going to start out, and that's why, it's like the Doctor defeats the kind of enemies that like superheroes and stuff would defeat. But obviously the Doctor, I think, would stand up as far as like in feats. He's defeated things that were comparable to things like Superman and the Hulk and Iron Man and stuff like that. But I think on a straight death battle, like if they came in swinging, the Doctor probably wouldn't stand up. It's an interesting dynamic. Then come in Rick Sanchez from Rick and Morty. Now I have not like adamantly consumed Rick and Morty. I've really only watched the first season. It's something I've been wanting to watch more. I didn't have access to it for a long time, and I've just had too much stuff. The humor is a bit cruder than I like. I've been told that gets a little bit better, like all the belching and stuff like that is not kind of my thing. However, I was sold on it, and what I was told the original pitch was, they're supposed to be Marty and Doc. But in reality, I feel that the show much better parodies Doctor Who, because he's going around through dimensions while he's taking Morty along, and Morty's put in like all these parallel things where he almost dies and stuff like that. The Doctor does that too, but the Doctor is very caring. He cares a lot about his companions, where Rick kind of is like, yeah, whatever, just come on, hurry up. While his companion is almost dying constantly. And he does swoop in and save him sometimes with a brilliant maneuver after he's gone and mixed them up and made everything bad. Then he becomes brilliant and solves everything. One of the things that I think is interesting, in the Rick and Morty universe, Rick is against time travel. He's like, anybody with good sense doesn't do that. On the other hand, in Doctor Who, he is against universe hopping. There's very big dangers. One of the things is in Doctor Who, if too much of one universe goes into another, they will be pulled in and merged and potentially even oblivioned. This is what gets the companion of Rose Tyler stuck in another dimension, and it is something that the Doctor can do, but like even to send a message to another universe, he had to destroy a star and harness the power of the black hole to send that message through. So this is not something that is a common thing for the Doctor, while time travel is not a common thing for Rick. So they're both kind of the same kind of wacky adventure of the week through, wacky different scenarios, but one's going through dimensions, the other one's going through time. I see that as a good way to have these two maybe clash. There are different philosophies on this of, whereas Rick would think a madman going around time traveling could unravel the entire multiverse. I also could see that the Doctor would view Rick hopping through times, possibly causing the universe of time and space all to collapse in upon itself. These two opposing, it would be a good reason for them to fight. I am interested to see which Doctors they're going to bring in. I'm going to be honest. Jodie's Doctor, very controversial. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of that era. I have no problem with the idea that the Doctor could be a woman. Although I am someone who takes a stance of, for all these people that want you to be okay with what they identify with, the Doctor has identified as a man all these years. Forcing him to be a woman, if that's what he's identified as, is kind of contrary to what the point. But I have no problem with the idea that a Time Lord and alien complete can change it. But I didn't like the writing on the show. I really didn't, and I had no problem with Jodie as herself. But she was met, and there seems to be like this going back retroactive, like trying to say that there were no strong women in Who. It started right there off at the beginning with Barbara. Like, Doctor Who started with a female showrunner. And, it was a very progressive team that initially made Doctor Who, and there was some very progressive storytelling in the beginning. Women were very much respected in those early Doctor Who's. Now, admittedly, when you started getting into the 70s and there were some things in some of the later issues of the Doctor that showed a little bit of the age of the time. But at no point was the Doctor misogynistic. Was he, an awful, horrible person? And this feeling that it's got to be corrected when we've had so many powerful female companions, some that, like Sarah Jane Smith, who have held her own spin-off show because she was such a powerful character. Anyways, I'm getting on a completely unrelated tangent to what this death battle is. But honestly, had they released this during Jodie's era, it would have been a very difficult thing, because I feel like there's a huge divide in the fandom, right? Those that are okay and those who are not okay. And had they picked, well, we'll just go whatever the most popular Doctor is, maybe the 4th Doctor or the 10th Doctor, David Tennant. Those seem to be like the two, like every person has their own favorite Doctor, but when you look at like mass polls, those are the two, like The 4th Doctor always ranks at the top of the classic Doctors, and the 10th Doctor ranks at the top of that because Eccleston wasn't around long enough. I feel like the buzz about the show didn't catch on until David Tennant, so that's when a lot of people came on. And, Matt Smith was the Doctor that replaced that. He wasn't a lot of people's first Doctor, and Peter Capaldi, which is my personal favorite Doctor, he's an older Doctor, and these new Who fans were not used to the Doctor being older, even though that was what he had standardly been after 2 very young Doctors. So it makes sense that they're not at the top. I get why the 3rd and 4th Doctor seem to be on a lot of people's top lists. I'm not a big fan of the 3rd Doctor, but I respect the actor and all that and the work, but I didn't like that it was all on Earth, and it had a very different feel to the show during then. And I think they had some growing pains as they were going to color. But, so once again, had they just gone, oh, we're going to pick the 4th Doctor, we're going to pick the 10th Doctor, they would have had people who were fans of Jodie's 13th Doctor who'd go, why are you not using the current Doctor? Why do you have to go back to this? And there would be other fans, if they had used Jodie, like, oh my goodness, let's face it, those people who don't like Jodie, who don't they're pretty much, she's the worst. She's bottom tier. It seems to be a hot or cold thing. Either, there's very people who go, well, she's in the middle. They're either putting, oh, she's at the top. She's like top tier, and she's the current, or they're putting her way at the bottom. And that's just kind of how it goes. So it would have been divisive. But now, for the 60th, they had 13 regenerate into 14, which is actually revisiting the 10th Doctor face and appearance just for a temporary 1 year for some specials. And we don't know how this is going to be, but no matter what, whether they're popular or not, you're getting to do David Tennant, which is one of the most popular Doctors across the majority of the fandom. And you get to have him be it. It's the perfect time to do it. Because I think Nukti is going to be another one that there's going to be people who have find controversy in that, not only for the race change, but also a lot of the politics that are in the show now, and just really around all the press that's going with the show. I think it's going to be another controversial era of Doctor Who. So this is the perfect time to have this death battle. I also think on the Rick and Morty side, there was a period there where Rick and Morty was kind of, people were embarrassed to be Rick and Morty fans because of just how insane the fandom got. All the stuff with the Szechuan sauce at McDonald's, where the people were getting violent, death threats online to creators, to different people. All that, they had one of the voice actors or plus co-creators or whatever almost got canceled. I don't think he's with the show anymore, but I believe he's still he didn't actually get fully canceled. Like a lot of that got corrected, but there was just a lot of bitterness around that property as well. And I feel like this is the perfect time for this death battle. As much as I wanted it like 3 or 4 years ago, right now, both of these properties are kind of like in this grace period where they're both popular and the controversies around them are died down. And I think soon the controversies with Doctor Who are going to go back up. And I'm sure Rick and Morty stirs the pot. Controversies with them will come back. But who do I think is going to win? I think, Rick and Morty has some cartoon logic attached to it, but I gotta go with the Doctor. The Doctor just has so much more content, stuff like The Moment, stuff like with Omega, and there's just so many past things that the Doctor has done, and they have stated that whether you like it or not, because it's considered canon, they're bringing in the Timeless Child, which basically makes the Doctor like some sort of fallen to earth demigod type thing. So that goes into, can the Doctor even really be killed like a regular Time Lord? It's unknown. If you're going to consider that stuff canon, which I know they are, whether you like that or not is up to you, but it just strengthens the Doctor's side. So I'm going to go with the Doctor. With that, let's get into watching this.
This video is sponsored by BetterHelp.
Rooster Teeth logo.
The Doctor. These brilliant geniuses dominate the cosmos, but who would win an all-out brawl? He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick, and it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle.
A death battle.
Everything about Morty
Okay.
Smith's life was perfectly average. Average house, average family, average school. Maybe slightly below average intelligence. But everything changed the day his grandpa Rick came home. Yeah, in style. Because Rick Sanchez is anything but average. Rick is easily the smartest man in the universe, and its most dangerous
I'm not a
criminal.
fan of
He
the
spent
art style
years
on
on the
Rick and
run from
Morty,
the Galactic
but I mean,
Federation, going on adventures across the multiverse.
the concept of it
Cares
does
about the
make me
emotional
laugh.
trauma from
Except for the
abandoning his daughter,
crude
right?
humor.
And then he took her son and put him in life-threatening danger. Bye! Thus formed the greatest duo of the generation, Rick and Morty. Yeah, mostly Rick. Morty's the cannon fodder who smuggles grapefruit-sized seeds up his ass. And that's just the first episode. Rick is an unparalleled inventor, always ready to face even the squanchiest of alien foes. He's got your usuals. Laser gun, invisibility belt, shrink ray, cyborg implants, the works. As well as some weirder things, like a Mr. Meeseeks box, which can summon an infinite number of irritating temporary life forms that will work tirelessly to accomplish a given task. Or a series of android decoys that are so perfectly created, they don't even realize they're decoys. Which leads them to create decoys that create decoys, and so on. Rick's gadgets can erase your memories, manipulate and travel through time, and even make a surface true level. As in, perfectly flat, something normally mathematically impossible. So beautiful that experiencing it for only a moment before returning to non-Euclidean space can emotionally scar you for life. He can even inject you with his own genetic info and instantly chest burst a clone of himself from inside you, like a pasty alcoholic xenomorph. What the hell? Rick and
I'm
Morty
rooting for
travel
the
together
Doctor,
in
but,
the
like,
Space Cruiser. Powered by a microverse under the hood, this compact starship comes equipped with laser cannons, a fishing line that can tow a solar system, and a unique artificial intelligence. With all that crazy sci-fi gear, Rick and Morty's adventures were absolutely bonkers. From disentangling a time loop created by alien snakes to battling the metafictional story lord, to Rick turning himself into a pickle to avoid family therapy. This guy would rather battle the Russian mafia as a vegetable than address his feelings. Actually, pickle's a fruit. Because boy oh boy, does he have a lot of them. Behind the fart jokes and wubba-lubba-dub-dubs, Rick harbors bitter emotional agony. Way back when, in a completely different universe, the Rick we know had a happy life. Until another Rick from another universe took it all away, the bastard. But like me, Rick is a true inventor, and this tragedy spurred him to craft his greatest creation, the portal gun.
My scans indicate it creates holes through all aspects of space-time, allowing Rick to travel anywhere in the multiverse. It sounds exhausting.
It can do more than that. It can slice you in half, set up traps, and even... That's coming out of your paycheck. Nah, decades of traveling the multiverse, hunting down the man who ruined his life, darkened
like that.
Rick's heart. He began to ask himself, if there are an infinite number of universes with an infinite number of each person, how did any individual life matter? Sounds like he's overthinking it. Like the time he accidentally
Existential.
turned all of humanity into horrific Cronenbergs. He and Morty had to escape to a parallel universe where they swapped places with recently deceased versions of themselves. What does that do to a person? Makes them badass. When Rick found the interdimensional council of Ricks, he kicked their teeth in. Like they say, he's the Rickest Rick of them all. That he is. Just touching the hem of his coat can activate his energy shield or even induce instant death. Yes, instant. No, it isn't explained why. Though considering this reaction, it's likely a chemical released through the coat's lining. Rickest Rick, whiz. He's dodged an orbital space laser from just a few feet away. He's so smart, he figured out he's in a TV show. Yep, really. Perhaps most mysterious is Operation Phoenix, a series of clone bodies that his consciousness can be
Fourth wall
uploaded
break.
to upon his death. Despite eventually taking it offline, his mind is still connected to every other Operation Phoenix across the multiverse, giving him an infinite number of extra lives, even if some of them are shrimps and fascists. Some of his devices can destroy the Earth, the universe, even numerous alternate timelines. He actually did that just to manipulate the stock market. Though underneath the drunken god complex, there's still a glimmer of the family man he used to be.
Gonna make it hard for the Doctor.
Love is just a chemical reaction in the brain. He does care about his daughter and grandkids. And Jerry, sometimes. He's taken on an alien Zeus, the president of the United States, and the actual devil, even exiting the bounds of fiction into meta-reality, fighting Jesus H. Leaping Christ himself, and at your will. He might look like a scrawny, drunken septuagenarian, and he is, but he's also somehow the greatest warrior in the universe. And you can lick his balls. Ian
I want the Doctor to win, but Ian and Barbara. Oh, cool! I love that they're starting this.
Susan was odd, almost like an alien. And when they met her grandfather and his police box, they found out why. They were aliens, and that police box was the TARDIS.
Alf.
2-in-1 spaceship and time machine. Thus, they were whisked away into the stars, kicking off over half a century of timey-wimey adventures with a revolving cast of companions, like Sarah Jane Smith, Rose Tyler, the Brigadier, Amy Pond, and so many more. Complete with the cheesiest special effects you've ever seen. This madman with a box had a name he would never
Empty
tell,
child
and a
there.
history he would always run
Potato
from.
Head.
He was only known as the Doctor. Doctor who?
Doctor.
Exactly. Doctor exactly? Though the Doctor's origins are shrouded in mystery, we know they were born several thousand years ago and earned degrees in cosmic science and higher dimensional physics. But he got bored with the stuffy Time Lord bureaucrats, stole a TARDIS, and explored time and space as a runaway.
From a
Who can forget
museum.
those
It's an
adventures
antique to
chasing
him.
dinosaurs on a spaceship, dueling Robin Hood with a spoon, or shoving
Dinosaurs
in
on a spaceship!
No, it's kind of weird. It's British. But if you don't know who's who, you're probably wondering, who are all these people? A bunch of old guys, young guys, a lady, and one of the Three Stooges. What? The Doctor is a Time Lord from the planet.
The second Doctor's
Time
amazing.
Lords may look human, but couldn't be more different. Not only do they have two hearts, they literally experience
Why was
time
that the clip they picked?
They can see past, present, and future all at
Hey,
once.
Doctor's
They
getting
can
some
resist
love in
temporal
this.
phenomena such as time stops and can tamper with fixed points in time. They're effectively acausal beings. This makes them super hard to predict and nearly impossible to erase from any timeline. They can even breach the
The only
bounds
Doctor I
of
don't
space
think
and
I've seen
talk
is the
directly
sixth
to
Doctor.
you. Yes, you at home. Hello there. Time Lords are practically walking Deus Ex Machinas. In fact,
When the
a lot of
Doctor
them would
hit
be
him
proud
with
to be
life
called that.
crisis.
Yeah, the Doc ran away for a reason.
Oh, there's the
Time
sixth
Lords
Doctor.
are a bit dodgy. The Doctor has hypnotized with a glance, resisted mind control, survived deadly radiation, and even learned transmigration. As in, the ability to summon an object out of thin air. Sounds crazy, but it's apparently standard
The
fare
12th
for
Doctor would
Time
say,
Lord Academy. But the reason why
skills.
there are so many Doctors is that Time Lords have a funny way of cheating death. Upon receiving a fatal
such a
wound,
powerful
the Doctor
moment.
undergoes regeneration,
Basically,
gaining a new,
run.
healthy body. It's way more than that. While reloading, the Doctor has regrown lost limbs, become strong enough to knock down steel doors, and even weaponized his own time energy. Downside being, if a Time Lord dies during regeneration, that ends the process permanently. To date, we've seen 14 versions of the Doctor, plus a few extras mixed in here and there. Hell, by the time you're watching this, you've probably seen the 15th. Or the 16th. The experiences each Doctor gains changes and affects the next Doctor, and the next, and so on. Each Doctor maintains the same memories, but with an all-new personality. Some like bow ties, some like jelly babies, some kick butt with Venusian karate, and some really hate the monarchy, probably 'cause they're werewolves. But they always have one thing in common.
That is true in Doctor Who. The monarchy are
Another thing in
werewolves.
common. The Doctor always enjoys the thrill of adventure, and they've got plenty of tech to help, like the sonic
never eats
screwdriver.
pears.
Utilizing sonic waves to manipulate nearby objects, it can pick locks, cause detonations, and fry circuitry. It's sort of a Swiss Army plot device that can hack its way through most problems. The perfect pacifist tool for resolving conflict. Its only weakness is that it doesn't do wood or turkey, though considering it can destroy machines, disrupt molecules, and even erase memories, I'll take it. The Doctor doesn't often carry weapons. There's an invisibility watch, a time travel ring, psychic paper that tricks basically everyone, and perception filters that prevents others from noticing certain things, even people. But the Doc does reluctantly have a few weapons stored away, like the dematerialization gun. It might look slapped together with Hobby Lobby pipes, but the DMAT can literally erase you from time. As in, it causes you to have never existed in the first place.
But if you never existed, then the gun would have never needed to fire, which means you weren't wiped from existence, which means the gun would need to fire, which means...
Did you say something? That That's not the only time erasing tool in the doctor's box. But we gotta talk about, you know, the box. Shabby blue police box on the outside. Incredible time machine that's bigger on the inside. This is the TARDIS. The time and relative dimension in space is a sentient ship that travels space and time with ease. It's strong enough to tow planets, powerful enough to stop antimatter from destroying the universe, and tough enough to tank lightning from Zeus. Yes, the god Zeus. It can even adjust its interior to an infinite degree, both in terms of space and time. So, if the TARDIS doesn't like you, you might get lost inside it forever. Don't piss off the TARDIS. Or any of the Doctor's enemies. Some of the universe's deadliest monsters. Cybermen, Zygons, Weeping Angels. And the Slitheen. The big chunky aliens that took over 10 Downing Street.
Why? Why would they bring them up?
Even when the Doctor prefers not to resort to fisticuffs, he's tough enough to survive bolts of lightning that vaporize an ordinary human. He's even dodged half a dozen disintegration rays, while also improvising several thousand calculations in a matter of nanoseconds. Yeah, the Doctor's super smart. So smart his brain once powered a 1,000-year-old supercomputer. The Doctor's outwitted cosmic entities like the Great Intelligence, the Time Lord Nemesis, the Master, and apparently the original Satan, who isn't even the most frightening alien in the multiverse, because that would be the Daleks. Alright, bear with me here. They may look like trash cans with plungers, but they can exterminate anything that gets in their way, even all of space and time. Like when they battled the Time Lords to extinction in the last Great Time War. A war that showed a darker side to the Doctor. Thrust into a conflict that put all of reality at risk, the Doctor became a warrior, a soldier, a killer. A side of him that had always been there, hiding just under that cheeky grin. Finally, in a single moment, the Doctor pressed a big red button to end the war, and all of Gallifrey, once and for all. As much as he didn't like the Time Lords, the Doctor cares for life above all things. So genociding his own people was the worst thing that could possibly happen. As the last of the Time Lords, the Doctor proved to be the most dangerous person in the universe. Isolation threatened to turn him into the very type of Time Lord he despised. A master who controls the laws of time. The Time Lord victorious. And God help your immortal soul if you piss him off. If he's desperate or if you threaten his friends, you won't be prepared for how far he'll go. Like trapping you in every mirror in existence, imprisoning you in the event horizon of a collapsing galaxy, or suspending you in time to be used as a scarecrow. Fortunately, Gallifrey wasn't destroyed. It turns out the Doctor, all of the Doctors, saved the Time Lords, but just forgot about it until time could catch up to them. It's complicated. Still, even their biggest L turned out to be a dub in disguise. That's how you know you're fantastic. But a Doctor's job is never finished. Without witness, without reward, you'll never know when they'll show up to save the day. But if you happen to be up against the Doctor, there's really only one thing you can do. Run.
Yep.
This video is sponsored by BetterHelp. It's that
Oh.
again. Weather's getting colder, the days are getting shorter. It's the seasonal blues.
So it's a tough one here because I really want to root for the Doctor, but some of the cartoon wackiness of Rick and Morty, it's gonna give the Doctor a run for his money. I do think that the Doctor does have some powerful things at his arsenal, and I think he has more experience. It can't go understated that he is thousands of years old now, and Morty might have traveled the multiverse, but he's still just a regular person. So yeah. So let's go. I'm looking forward to this.
It's time for a death battle!
Oh, jeez, Rick. It was my fault.
Shut the fuck up, Morty! I knew Time Lords were suicidal morons, but I didn't know they never invented rearview mirrors.
Are you sick? You're the one who hit me. No, go on, I'm busy.
Son of a bitch, he's ignoring me?
He's already down the ship.
Do to you? Right, fine. Queensbury rules? A bit of Venusian karate?
Arcade
Keep
battling.
clicking, asshole. Maybe you'll find a good joke on the ground next to your teeth.
Hunger!
A spoon? Yes.
Oh, this place looks fun. Do they have a little shop? I like little shops.
What did they get to do? David Tennant's voice.
Well, blink as much as you can. They're scared of rapid movement. What? What? Oh, you brilliant old girl. Switching rooms around. Fantastic.
It's fun to be the class clown so you
Got
get
regenerated.
good shot. Now hurry up. I got a grandson waiting on me. He won't die an idiot like you.
I know your type. The nihilists know it all. But through all this wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey rubbish, there's one thing you never quite understood. I'm the Doctor, and I don't want to go. Quite an impressive craft, Morty. You built it yourself?
I guess so.
Then you've got a bright future ahead. Don't be a cynic.
Morty, if you forget me, I'll haunt your ass.
Who the fuck are you?
KO! Live by the portal, die by the
Interesting.
portal. Let's break this down. First off, Rick and the Doctor could both dodge lasers, making them pretty even, so neither could reliably win a quick draw. Also, neither have shown any consistent signs of strength all that different from an above-average human. The Doctor could get a superhuman strength boost during regeneration, but that is fairly incidental. So as far as physical ability is concerned, neither had a significant edge. But when it comes to weapons, Rick had way more deadly killing machines, a lot of which could wipe out whole
Yeah.
planets, galaxies, and more. If he could get the jump on the Doctor, he'd have a good chance of winning. Of course, there's similar speeds, meant he probably wasn't getting that opportunity. There's no denying his firepower was superior overall, but that still had to contend with the Doctor's technology. Yeah, despite all of Rick's crazy inventions, most of which could kill a normal person instantly, the Doctor matched or countered pretty much all of it. Being a Time Lord meant he could resist any time-warping trickery Rick threw at him, and the sonic screwdriver could hack and even destroy nearly everything Rick had. The Sonic has even disabled teleportation and time travel technology before, making it more than capable of hijacking Rick's portal gun, which has been hacked in the past. With that gun, Rick was kind of a sitting duck. Operation Phoenix makes killing Rick permanently almost impossible. But the Doctor's reality-altering tech like the DMAT meant there would be no Rick left to upload to a new body at all, effectively ending the fight in a single shot. And that was hardly the only reality-warping superweapon the Doctor had access to. The Doctor's technology presented a clear advantage. Now let's talk ships. This one's pretty clear-cut. The space cruiser was a deadly machine that towed a solar system, but the TARDIS single-handedly held off a universe-destroying event. That's an edge for the Doctor. But perhaps most important
Yeah, and it
of all
put
was their
planets back in place
experience
too
and
once.
intelligence. Rick mastered space and time to the point of becoming a veritable god. But you can say the same for the Doctor, who is way older. It's kind of like the Doctor has been Rickin' for many times longer than Rick himself. And when push comes to shove, the Doctor is just as experienced of a warrior as Rick ever was, if not more so. 11 spent 900 years battling Daleks, Cybermen, Sontarans, and more on Trenzalore and came out on top. And don't forget how quickly the Doctor can formulate, calculate, and initiate plans. Like when he dodged half a dozen rays and improvised thousands of calculations in his head to siphon the ray's energy into a teleporter, all in a matter of nanoseconds.
He can freeze time in an
Rick
instant.
usually relies on being the smartest guy in the room. When he's forced to battle people at his own level, he's often outsmarted, like with the Prime Rick or, gasp, a Morty. Rick was a formidable genius, but the Doctor's incredible technology, unmatched intelligence, and thousands of years of experience gave him the win. Ah, jeez. I bet Rick was absolutely mortified to lose. The winner is the Doctor.
Good. Yes, go Doctor.
Thank you so much for watching.
There's like one or two left, so let's see what's next.
Before we do that, if you're not a Deathbattle member yet, click that join button below. See what you're missing.
Goku versus Superman rematch? They're using... Okay, that's interesting because they're specifically there showing like older Superman. So I wonder if that's going to be like the thing of that is it's going to be the older Superman stuff in Goku versus Superman. I will record that one too. I am a sucker for the Goku versus Superman death battles. And I would be interested to see what's new enough that they felt it was worth a third go around. Because, there's constantly new Goku forms, but I think they summed it up pretty well in the last one where they said, the whole point of Goku is about overcoming stuff. The point about Superman is that he has all the power, and it's how he uses it, how he, the fact that even though he has all that power, he can't protect the ones closest to him sometimes. So they're very different characters in their structure. So if Goku was as powerful as Superman, then it just makes Dragon Ball boring. So in their structure, it's different. They are very similar, super powerful characters. But, anyways, I really like how they did it. And they did bring up the how long the Doctor's been. And to me, it was interesting. They said that they're both the same speed. They're both similar in strength, although they didn't really talk too much about durability. They had how he could come back and how that, but I do feel like Rick and Morty has a bit more cartoony durability, a little bit of Toon Force to him, if you will. But I do kind of like that they didn't count it as Toon Force, because some cartoons have Toon Force, but they are not tunes in the way that they recently did, like Scooby versus Courage, stuff like Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Mickey and crew. They're like, obviously it's Toon Force. They break down into bits and they come back. I feel like they try to explain everything in Rick and Morty in universe in some way, but it is a very simple art style and comical and stuff like that. But there is consequences. Somebody can get shot and die in Rick and Morty, and you can't actually do that in cartoons. Like, even when they show them and then so goes up with a halo or something. Like, at the end of the day, the cartoon's still alive. It's still like they all come back. It's all for comic relief. That's not the case in Rick and Morty. So it's not true Toon Force, but there are certain things. It's like, okay, that's because you're a cartoon. But I'm really happy with what it is. One thing I did want to talk about, two ones wanting a little bit more Doctor Who knowledge. So they mentioned that he became the Time Lord Victorious. In 2020, they did a big multimedia thing. That is something that was brought up in the 4th Doctor. It's been brought up again with the 10th Doctor. But they went back and said, what really is that? And the Doctor went to before time. Before time. And you go, what in the world is before time? Well, that's the idea, that they went and back to a time period when time didn't exist, and they just did. He went, and at this point, nobody dies. And he fought an alien race called the Cthulhu that go from universe to universe at their birth in the multiverse, and basically judge everything based on the potential possibilities they have throughout time of where they will go as a species and set appropriate limits. This contributes this much good, and them living this long is the best for the environment, so we give them this long life. But this species is that, and then they show how horrific it is, because like some of these species, they're thousands of years old because there's no time at this point. And so when they say, oh, you live 90 years, they all die. Except for the kids. Everyone else is just... And the Doctor is just appalled by this. He goes in and he starts destroying it. Now, you have modern day 8th Doctor teaming up with the Daleks, 9th Doctor teaming up with the Vampire Alliance of different species that the vampire legends are based on. There's multiple different species that kind of fit into the description of what we call a vampire, and so they have a coalition, and he overthrows the one oppressive vampire race and leads the rest in their coffin ships back all into the schism before time to save or to stop the Doctor, because he's gotten to a point where his people are gone, he's all that's left, and he's like, no, the pain and the suffering is, I am the Time Lord victorious. I'm going to mess with the balance of the universe, and I am going to go back, and I'm going to end the concept of death before time starts. And there won't be any death. Nobody will ever die, except for by like some freak accident that way. But there will be no more growing old and dying. People live forever. And this upsets the balance of the universe so much that 2 other Doctors have to go back and stop him to realize the folly of what he's doing. But he fights this race that wipes races off from existence, sets time limits. It's a really great set of stories, and but it really shows just like when the Doctor puts his mind to it. This is supposedly the most powerful race in all the multiverse, and he wipes them out and has them running scared. Yeah, makes sense the Doctor won. I was worried because Rick definitely had more weapons. But the Doctor does routinely, like Centaurans have way more weapons. The Daleks have way more weapons. The Cybermen have way more weapons. So it makes sense that is not a deciding factor when going up to the Doctor. He had the bigger brain, and when you look at these characters, at the end of the day, all the weird tech, all the wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey, universe, wavy, crossy stuff, wubba-dub, whatever you want to talk about, it's their brains. That's what makes these characters leagues better than everybody else around them, is how brilliant they are. And when it comes to that, the Doctor is just smart. Anyways, I enjoyed that. What did you think about that? Let me know down in the comments below, and I will catch you in the next video.